Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over this optical system that you guys see right here. This is the HHS from EOTech. I believe that stands for Holographic Hybrid System or Sight, one of the two. I probably should have looked that up before hitting record. Either way, what it is it's a combination of these two optics. So we have the EOTech G33 3X magnifier there on the back, and then we have the EXPS3-4 holographic optic on there. So I did the EOTech EXPS3 earlier, and because of that video, a lot of people asked me to review this type of combination because some folks said that they wanted to be able to use their EOTech at distance and use some sort of a reticle option that wasn't just the standard dot and donut of death. So that is what is offered here from EOTech. So I should mention that when I actually got this in for the review, all of their new stuff that they've announced since shot did not exist yet. So I didn't know that stuff was coming. So they have some different magnifiers and things like that that are out there on the market right now. That said, these optics here as a system have been out for a while. They're literally combat proven, many theaters throughout the world. So we're gonna talk about these ones, and then hopefully down the road in the future, if you guys are interested, we'll take a look at some of their newer stuff as well. But let's take a look at them individually. Before getting into all the details of the HHS system, I wanted to thank today's sponsor, and today's sponsor is Birch Gold. So number one, I want to thank any company that is willing to sponsor gun-oriented content these days, because there's fewer and fewer of them every day. So I definitely appreciate Birch Gold for that. I am somebody who personally invests in precious metals, both gold, silver, platinum, etc. Birch Gold offers all of that. They also offer a number of really actually interesting services that I didn't know about before they reached out to me. So for instance, a lot of guys out there watching this video are probably military members, veterans, retired guys, whatever the case may be. They offer ways rather that you can convert some of your TSP, for those of you guys who are into that, into some of their IRAs that will contain precious metals as well. So I am a fan. Like I said, I've been buying them for years, all different metals rather, and it's a hedge against fiat currency, which certainly I do like because our dollar is based on almost nothing these days, which certainly may be an issue down the road. But regardless, guys, thank you very much to Birch Gold. There'll be a link down below if you guys want to check them out and any of their services. I suppose we'll start here at the back and get into the G33. Now, both of these optics will have a quick detach mounting system, which certainly is nice. And as they sit right now, they're in the lower 1/3 co-witness for your iron sights on an AR-15. So with the G33 that we have back here, a few things are going on. But one of the ones that people really like is the flip to side capability of it. It is reversible. So this is set up for a right-handed shooter. So that way, when I go ahead and acquire my sighting picture, there's nothing occluding my left eye, and I have good situational awareness. And of course, the optic is at 1x, so it's very quick at that point. And then if I want to move it over in and get that additional magnification, I can do so very quickly, as you guys just saw. But to remove it from the mount, rather from the rifle, all you do is press down on this little lever here that releases that lever. And then at this point, you can remove the actual magnifier itself. So back here on the rear, we have an adjustable eyepiece, and this is so that you can set it to your eye, because everyone's eyes are different. You guys are going to see differently, and you're going to want to set it so that the reticle is clear as you see it. Then back here on the sides, we have our windage and elevation adjustments. Now that's really not what they are. What you're going to want to do with those is just zero the reticle as you see it to the center of your magnifier, because every optic is a little bit different the way it's going to look through this magnifier here. And I should also mention that this one, as it comes from the factory, does come with the riser, as you guys can see there in the middle. That is, again, so you can have that lower 1/3 co-witness. If you have an optic that you want to use a G33 with and you don't want that height, you can just remove the spacer and roll with it like that for a quote-unquote absolute co-witness height on it there. And magnifier and the mount are very, very solid. For years, I've said that the EOTech G33 is my favorite magnifier I've ever used to date. That is true. It holds up to this day. I believe you get like a 7.3 degree field of view through there. So for something that's giving you 3x magnification, you still get pretty good situational awareness in terms of field of view downrange. Again, just like the magnifier, it has that quick detach mount. It works in just the same way. So you're just going to press the little lever here, and that releases the rear level, and you can quickly detach your optic from your rifle. So there's a few things going on here. Actually, there's quite a bit. Now, if you guys didn't watch any of my EXPS videos in the past, basically the EXPS series is going to have the quick detach mount in that 1/3 co-witness. The EXPS or XPS3, what that designates is that it is night vision compatible versus the 2, which doesn't have the night vision modes. And then the -4, that's the specific reticle to this exact optic. So that's basically what all the designations mean. So what we have here is, of course, a night vision compatible optic. Back here on the rear, you don't want to mess with any of those screws. Those are from the factory, so don't mess with those. And then one thing that's cool about EOTech that a lot of people don't really realize is that this is actually a hood, and then inside there, that is the optic itself. So we have this outer protective hood on there that does protect it from damage, impact, those sorts of things. It's aircraft grade aluminum. It has type 3 hard anodized finish on there. And on the left side of the optic is where our controls are in terms of illumination. So if you power the optic on using the down button, it will stay on for 4 hours. If you power the optic on using the up button, it will stay on for 8 hours. Now, if at any point during those lengths of time, 4 or 8 hours, if you hit either of the buttons, that will reset your timer. So some folks out there who have used these, particularly in the military on like long patrols and stuff like that, have a nervous habit of just hitting the up and down button. That's cool. It'll stay on and you're good to go if you do that. Now, it's also night vision compatible, so we have the night vision mode there. If you turn it on in night vision, it will stay on for 8 hours. You have 10 different illumination settings for night vision, and then 20 different illumination settings for the daylight bright. Now, there's definitely some advantages there, especially nowadays that shooting through your optics is becoming kind of more of a common thing. A lot of guys running dual tube nods and then shooting through instead of using a laser. That has, generally speaking, been the standard for the last 20 years. A lot of guys are going away from that because lasers, even IR lasers, are a two-way device. And nowadays, if we were to face, say, like a near-peer threat, we would assume they would have night vision as well, and then they could see our positions. So with the EOTechs having that night vision setting, and additionally having absolutely no parallax at all, which we'll touch on here in just a second, they really kind of are the ideal shooting with nods through your optic type of sight. In my opinion, that definitely is one of the big advantages they have going on. Jumping back to the parallax issue. So for those that don't know, who are new to optics, what parallax is basically, I'm looking through the reticle right now. I know you guys can't see it. The reason you can't see it, another good point on that for night vision use, is that there's no forward emission from this optic. So there's no light coming out the front. There's not a lot of optics out there like that. Very little to, I don't know of any others. So there's one other actually I can think of off the top of my head, but very few. That's definitely an advantage. Again, if you find yourself in a situation where the bad guys have nods as well, you don't want to give your signature away, and it doesn't do that, which certainly is nice. The point I was getting at, though, with the zero parallax is that basically when I'm looking through the optic right now, regardless of where I move my head, the position of the dot and the dots that I see here does not change in relationship to the target. So to date, the only optics I know that are actually truly parallax free are the EOTech holographic optics. That is something that some people are very, very concerned with. If you do a lot of shooting from non-standard positions, it is an advantage for sure, shooting under a car, those sorts of things. Particularly at distance, it can start to add up. Now, if you're talking 50 meters and in on a, 12 by 18 inch target, you're probably not going to see much difference, but you start stepping out to 100, up to 300, 400, etc. That parallax can definitely induce some misses if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're, of course, using EOTech, then it's a non-applicable issue. So that is nice. Again, QD mount, we already talked about that. It's excellent. I've never had any issues with it. Over here on the right side of the optic, if you need to change the tension of it, because of course, as we know, all Picatinny spec or 1913 spec rails are not created equal. Some of them are in fact out of spec. It does give you the ability to adjust it. Just basically pop your mount open and then adjust it to where you need. It has a little detents there, and then tighten it back down to the actual rail that you're using, and you're good to go. Staying on the right side of the optic, we do have both our windage and elevation adjustment points. So both of them are going to give you half-inch adjustments at 100 yards, so half MOA adjustment points. And I believe they both have 40 MOA of travel, both for windage and elevation. And one twist around is 10 MOA of adjustment, just for those out there. But it's very clearly indicated which way is right, which way is up, which way is down, etc. And it has very audible and tactile clicks. You know it's moving when it's moving. You don't have to guess, did I just move one? It definitely gives you good feedback there, so you can't complain on that one. Additionally, guys, the battery power, I combine the two words. The battery power is up front here. And one of the big advancements that EOTech made, which solved a lot of the issues they've had in the past, was moving the battery position. So that did a few different things. The biggest thing that it did, in my opinion, is it put the battery perpendicular to the bore of the rifle. So what that does is when the rifle is recoiling, regardless of what rifle system you have this on, you don't have to worry about the batteries moving back and forth and their springs going back and forth, holding them in place, making sure they have contact. So in some of the earlier EOTechs, you know, this is whatever, 10 years ago, before the EXPS series came out, those ones under heavy recoil, particularly some larger caliber rifles, would start to blink and those sorts of things because of the way the batteries were aligned. With these ones, with the perpendicular batteries, you, again, don't have to worry about that. I've never seen it. It's just not an issue. And the battery itself is going to be the CR123A battery. It's a lithium battery. And here we have, of course, a tethered battery point cover. And if you uncover it, there's, of course, O-ring seals and all those sorts of things, because this is a water submergible optic. You can only submerge it down to, I believe, 10 meters is what they rated at. However, on my 3-0, we threw it in our lake here, and it's deeper than 10 meters, and it was just fine. It had no issues, no water got in there or anything like that. So you absolutely can be out in the rain or anything like that. If you're a law enforcement officer, military guy, you don't have to worry about that at all. Another beauty of that, the rain and stuff like that, versus other red dot type systems, is because it's holographic. Even if you have rain and stuff all over either of your lenses, the optic's still clear. It sounds like space magic, but I assure you it's true. It does work, and you can actually crack either of your lenses as well, and it will still be there and be usable. So pretty cool in that regard versus, again, a lot of the competitive options out there. Battery life, though, like I mentioned earlier, has the auto shut-off system. On the new EXPS series optics, you get 1,000 hours of battery runtime on one battery, and again, it's auto off, so that will, generally speaking, last quite a while. I believe the early EXPSs had 600, but that's been bumped up now to 1,000, so they have increased the battery life on that, which is good. Additionally, which is good, is that if your battery starts to get low, your reticle will actually blink in there, letting you know that it's time to change the batteries. But I think you have 5 hours of battery time left from the time that goes on. So you do have time to get somewhere, a logistical hub, where you can actually throw a battery in there. Again, one of the reasons that this combo was heavily requested, at least what I believe anyway by my viewers, is because of the reticle that this one has. So it has a different reticle than any other EOTech that I'm aware of. So basically, instead of having the 68 MOA dot and then the 1 MOA dot in the middle, which is what we kind of all know with the EOTech, this one here has a 60 MOA dot, so it's a little bit tighter, or ring rather, and then 4 different dots all the way down. So in EOTech's manual, this manual here, it will say that this combination, because of the magnifier and the actual reticle there, is a 600 meter capable system. I have no doubt that it is. I shot it out to 549, so yeah, and was getting consistent hits with an 11.5-inch barrel. So no doubt it is capable of doing that. Now, in terms of how the actual dots are going to line up, there's so many variables there that it's really almost impossible to say. What I recommend is if you have some sort of ballistic software or an app that you can put this reticle in, and all the major ones have it. I use Parallax Pro, for those who are wondering. I'm going to show you some pictures of it here in just a second with a few different loads as I'm talking, but just just get it set up for your rifle, your velocity, your pistol, whatever the case may be, and the ammo that you're using in your conditions, so that way you know your holdovers. And I don't know if I said it in the intro or not. I don't know if I found that footage, but I remember that time I was shooting it at distance, the farthest we took that thing out to. I was just like, there was no way I could do it if I didn't have that reticle and different holding points. If not, I would have been holding off at the top of the trees out there in the field. So we got a 420-yard target out there, and without holdovers, there's just no way I'd be able to effectively engage it. We got the rifle here zeroed at 100 yards, and I'm pretty sure I can hit it because we don't really have any wind right now. So let's see. Out of rounds, but yeah, getting those first round hits, it'd be tough to do holding in space. With that reticle, and again, this magnifier, it really does bring everything in. And I think a lot of people are looking at this type of combo versus either just having a regular EOTech, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that, I like them, as you guys know, or having a low power variable optic. So like, kind of, what are the pros and the cons of it? Well, a couple. So number one is that it is a quick detach system with our magnifier. Additionally, we have the flip to side the capability as well. So if you are primarily using this at 1x for close-in targets, you have the ability, again, you can switch it either side, left or right, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, and have a non-occluded sight picture. It's very fast, and when you need it, again, just hit it, bring it back into play, and get that extra magnification on there. Additionally, with the quick detach system that we have here with the magnifier, it gives you the ability to run this on multiple rifles. So you can have it on one rifle if you know that you're going to be out shooting a little bit longer one day, maybe using it for hunting, those sorts of things. You can just throw it on another rifle and quickly set your reticle so that's in the center and go out there and start doing work. There's no point of impact, point of aim shift that we've had at all using the 3x magnifier, so good to go there, and that's regardless of what optic we're using, not just the EOTech. So no issues at all. Additionally, what I think is cool about this, and something that in the past in the military I've seen done when I was in, is that folks would use these just as essentially observation devices. So in lieu of binoculars, they'd pull them off the rifle and just start looking around and seeing what was out there. I'm sure many of you guys who had ACOGs in your units saw guys do that as well. The problem with that is that you're pointing a rifle at somebody, right? So if somebody sees you pointing a rifle at them, they may take actions that you don't want them to take, as any of us would do as well, right? So if you're just taking off your magnifier, you don't have to point your rifle at somebody, and you still get way better situational awareness than what you'd have with just a holographic optic. Another point on that is it gives you so much better target discrimination. So looking around, let's predict out in the future, right? So as we go on, and this is of course sort of military and law enforcement oriented, what I'm about to say, but who knows, it could come up any day in a different scenario. But if you look around the world, a lot of countries are going to very similar camo patterns, right? So if you're trying to figure out what the heck is that person out there on the battlefield, when you get out to 100 yards, 100 meters, good luck trying to tell Russian multicam from American multicam, right? So that's just an example, but when you throw that 3x on there, you absolutely can do it, and it just gives you better target discrimination. Now the same is true if you're trying to figure out, at 300 yards, if that's somebody's head looking up through the window, or if it's just a plant pot on the window, those sorts of things. So in terms of target discrimination, it gives you a huge advantage over what you'd have with 1x. That is loud. As I closed out that last shot, if that motorcycle was really loud through the microphone, I apologize. Nothing I can do about it. It's a warm day in February. I can't be mad about somebody jumping on a bike. All right, so what do I think of the system, the HHS system? So pros and cons, right? Let's go over them. I think we kind of already hit most of the pros with the features. There's a lot of good features to it. One of the cons for sure is going to be battery life versus some of the other options out there. It just what it is with a holographic sight. A lot of people will ask me constantly, I get this question multiple times a day, so hopefully you guys who are asking this are watching this video, but a lot of people ask me about other options, like for instance the Holosun, what is it, 510, and it looks like a holographic optic, but it's not, right? So people are like, what do you think about that versus the EOTech? I'm like, it's totally different. They're two different animals. The holographic optics, they have, again, a lot of advantages that standard red dots don't. One, again, being parallax free. Number two is guys who have astigmatism. A lot of people, not all, I can't say everybody, but a lot of people with astigmatism pick up these easier because essentially it's a laser that's constantly being put out there rather than an LED. And the way folks who have astigmatism pick it up and the way it looks to their eyes is much cleaner and much crisper. Now, I will tell you that if you look directly at an EOTech reticle, for someone who's never done that, it will appear that there's little dots in it, and it might even appear blurry depending on how your eye sees it. But the way it's designed, for those who don't know, is that you look through it and then you just put the reticle on whatever you want to hit, right? So you superimpose it on whatever you want to hit. So if you look through the optic at your target, it will look clear, I assure you. I've done it many, many times and it does work. But the holographic optic, again, has some of the advantages that we talked about, but the downside, of course, is battery life versus some of the modern red dots. Just kind of is what it is. Another con of it is that this system here is not inexpensive. EOTech, all of this stuff is made in America, which of course costs money, again, compared to a lot of the stuff that is a competitive option out there. And because of that, it's not inexpensive. It's also made for military contract specs, so it's very durable stuff as well. And again, that's not cheap. So I think the MSRP on this is around $1,200. However, on the street, you can definitely find this package cheaper than that. And of course, we will put links down below, any discount codes, those sorts of things, and also pin them in the comment section depending on where you're watching. So that's definitely a con for sure. But one of the biggest things I always say, and I've said it in every EOTech video I think I've ever done, is that in terms of speed, EOTech's king. It just is. I've never shot with an optic that is faster. Now, of course, a lot of the modern red dots are going to be pretty darn close. But in terms of speed, EOTech is simply where it's at. Additionally, in terms of tracking moving targets, for me anyway, EOTechs are just easier and faster to keep up with. I don't know what it is. I know what it is. It's the holographic optic and the nature of it, where you don't have any field of view issues and all of those sorts of things. But those are definitely huge advantages that to date, nothing else really has even come close to, in my opinion. And the G33, like I said, it's the best magnifier I've used to date. Super rugged, super durable, excellent glass, very easy to center everything on it. The mount is super solid. There's no wiggling, anything like that you get with a lot of the sort of budget grade magnifiers out there. It's just super solid, good to go, good equipment all around. So I think that pretty much is it. If you guys have any questions about this optic system that we talked about here, you can always post those down below in the comment section. However, the best place to reach me is over at my Facebook page, as always. I do get to everybody over there. Sometimes it takes me a little bit. Right now, I think I'm at like 5 days as of filming this, because there are literally hundreds of thousands of you and only one of me, but I do get to everybody over there, so just be patient with me. But that's the best place to reach me if you actually have a question. Additionally, if you like this video and you're not subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I definitely appreciate it. If you've done that and you've hit the notification bell and you're still not seeing about 3 or 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, go ahead and sign up for my email. You can do that over at my website, or you can do it at the sign up button on my Facebook page as well. I just send 1 email out max a week with the videos of the week, so that way there's no social media giant in between us trying to censor you guys from seeing my content. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.